Hey Catriel, several subscribers have asked about our DIY fertilizer and chemical project.
Yeah, I remember that. We had some chemical conversions, molarity going on there.
Yeah, that's when you were bringing the intellect to the video, if I remember right.
Yeah, just once. Alright, so it appears as if we have lots of dead dandelions out there, so I guess that part worked at least. But I hear you got some different nozzles for your your chemical sprayer.
Yeah, I did, and I took video of it for the second application. So what you're seeing here now, we've actually done a second application. And that was, I think, 9 days ago, if I add up properly. This is the result after the second application. The first application, remember, we only did nitrogen. What I added this time was the weed killer and some Barricade, which is the, again, that's the brand name. Mine's not brand name, but that's for the crabgrass killer.
Today's April 25th, so it might be a little early for the crabgrass to come up.
I hope so, because I hope that's not crabgrass. I still don't know what we're going to do with it. I don't really like that wide-bladed grass. Those of you in the south, I know that's about the only thing you have.
Well, it would be different if our whole grass was uniformly wide blade, but since it's a mixture of narrow and wide, that's kind of awkward.
Yeah, doesn't work for caramel, does it?
No, we have to have extreme perfection in our grass. We don't do mediocre here.
Do you think our dandelions are dead?
They look pretty sad to me.
I think so too. We'll walk out and take a little closer look. But I think I wish I'd have killed them a little bit earlier. I think I wish I'd have made that second application a little bit earlier.
Yeah, they seem to kind of be in, there's a lot of them in one spot. Looks like they kind of multiplied.
Yeah, that's where those big long roots are. And they'll grow back. Unless you dig them out manually.
Oof.
Why don't you get on that?
How about you get on that?
I guess my question for you is, Catriel, my second application video, it's, well, it's less than perfect. Some things that I didn't do right or could have done better. Do you think I should show it anyway, or should I save myself the embarrassment?
Well, you know, I think we have a lot of good videos, and I think in general, I think we do pretty good work. And so I think one video of acknowledging that sometimes things don't go quite as we planned, I think that's all right.
Okay, well, I guess we'll show it. So as soon as that video's over, we'll come back and we'll talk through a few things that just didn't work out like we had planned, and some modifications we'll make for the next application. How's that sound? Everybody, today what we're going to be doing is working with our little sprayer here. And if you want to kind of watch how it was working last time, you can see how these tips, they're basically fan-like tips, and they shoot backwards. So they shoot a fan spray out backwards like this. The thing is, today we're going to be beginning to spray the 2,4-D, the Tri-mec, or whatever brand name we're dealing with. And that chemical has a tendency to drift. And so because of that drift, we don't want it to get on our flowers or anything like that. So what I've done is I bought some different tips which spray downward instead of fanning backwards. And I believe I can reduce the drift with that approach. So we're going to be replacing these tips. And these tips are actually mounted a little bit too low. Because of the fan-like approach, this bar was mounted a little bit too low. We're actually going to raise it up on the adjustable bar here so that from about here we can still get our 84-inch spray width, but not have quite as much drift because we won't really be just kind of throwing that water up into the air. So first I'll try to replace the tips themselves. And that's pretty easy. You twist that just a quarter of a turn, and out it comes right there. It's got the little filter in it, and the tip comes out. You can see the fan-like tip right on there, how it's shooting backwards. This tip is different. It actually shoots downward. So we'll drop it right in there, just like that. Actually, I don't think this project will be too hard. The only part that will take a little testing is to see how high this bar needs to be such that we get just a little overlap in the middle. So I think I'm just going to take this thing totally off now, because one of the thoughts I have is I really don't want this hanging down such that the water might hit it when it's spraying. I'm glad that they gave me the adjustability here. Last summer when I got this sprayer, I took some video with a kind of a general review of the features and my initial thoughts. I haven't posted that video. I don't know if that's something that would interest people or not. I suppose if you would be interested in hearing more of a review of the sprayer, you need to let me know in the comments section. And also, it'd be interesting to know what kind of videos you would like to hear in general. Like to see, like to hear. So I think I'll raise this one more. I don't really like these guys sticking up too high because of storage. Okay, so for our next step, we'll go put some water in the sprayer. We'll let it just spray out here on the ground. We'll see how far these angles go. It says 110 degrees, so I'm thinking that should be pretty close right there. And if not, we'll raise it a little bit more. Well, they are shooting downward, but there's a lot of drift, and I didn't even really think it was that windy. Looks like they're coming together right about here. Okay, so this is the 2.5 gallons we started with the other day in our first video. And I intended to put about 2 gallons on, or half of the can, so 1.25 gallons. But I don't believe I got that much on last time, and it really wasn't quite green enough. So I'm going to use definitely the rest of the can here today of nitrogen. This is 20-0-0, so it's 20% nitrogen. And if you missed my last video, there's 2.2 pounds of nitrogen per gallon. And basically you want to apply about a pound per 1,000 square feet. The 3-way herbicide that I've got has a built-in measuring utensil. When I read the directions on it, it said for bluegrass, which we have, to use about 1.1 to 1.5 ounces per 1,000 square feet. So I'm going to put 4 ounces, maybe a little bit more. It's not showing. I'm put a little bit more than 4 ounces into this tank full. Actually, I may put more than that. We have more than that, and I think maybe I might even put up to 8. I'll turn the pressure down a little. I think maybe that might have been contributing to that excessive drift. I may have just been putting too much pressure through those nozzles. See what it looks like. That's looking much better. Last time I used a little over a whole tank to spray the yard. This time I lowered the pressure because those tips seemed to not respond well to that higher pressure. I had it at 60 psi. I took it all the way down to 25 psi where it is now, and I'm finished spraying one round here now, and I still have over half a tank left. So I think I'm either going to have to drive slower or turn up the pressure again to be able to spray out the tank full. This is the prodiamine, which is a more technical name for the brand name Barricade. So I need to figure out how much of it I need to apply. It says 0.4 ounces per 1,000 square feet. So I've had to resort to the chemist here. This was too much detail for me. So she's got her little scale here.
It's 6 ounces.
It's pretty stuff anyway.
Yeah, it's nice and yellow. Okay, there's
7. That's 7, that'll be enough. I think you're supposed to have for real farmers, I think they have a separate tank mix, a mixer, where they mix in granules like this. So the pump's on, and I'm also taking that little hose there, the suction hose of the pump, and making it pick up different areas of the tank so we can get that all picked up, mixed in. Now, you've seen the video. And there's just a couple of things that I wanted to mention. First thing is that we tried those downward tips. Instead of the fan tips that go backwards, as you saw in the video, I replaced those with those downward tips. And the negative part of that was that I just didn't get the flow that I wanted.
Yeah, so it seems like maybe you had to do more applications, so it was more time consuming, and you didn't quite get as much concentration on the yard as you would.
It took me 3 trips over the yard to get rid of the 15 gallons.
Yeah.
It was like all afternoon. Now it was kind of fun because I got to sit on the tractor all afternoon, but.
Well, if you have time constraints,
yeah,
might not be the best.
So I'm going to put the fan tips back on for the next application. Another thing that didn't work out as well is when I poured those granules in of the Barricade, those orange or yellow granules, when I put those in, I should have pre-mixed them. I should have mixed them in their own container rather than pouring them in the tank, because near the end, which we don't have video of this, but near the end, I actually got one of my nozzles partially plugged up. I assume because one of the granules did not dissolve.
Yep.
So next application, I'm going to pre-mix those granules so that we get them all dissolved before we ever put them in the tank mix.
It's probably a good idea.
But other than that, I think we did get enough nitrogen on the second time. I wish we would have taken some video that after, some after the first spraying, because I think you could have seen that we might actually have some in the Bluebird sod cutter video. You might see that the grass isn't quite as green as maybe the neighbors was at the time. I don't think we got quite enough nitrogen on in the first application, but in the second application, I'm pretty sure we did.
We also had some really good rain. We've had some really nice, just gentle rain for long periods of time that I think has really helped our grass, even without necessarily perfect fertilizer application.
Yeah, and in between our first and second applications, it was really cold as well, so that may have been what kept our grass yellow at the time. But I've found over the years that it's really good to try to get your grass a good start in the spring, because that'll help it fill in some of those bare spots that then in the summertime, those will already be filled in, because it's hard to get new grass started or to get the grass make any progress towards filling in those spots in the middle of summer.
Yeah, it gets pretty hot.
Hey, I want to say thanks to everyone who watches our videos. We really appreciate it. We have a lot of fun putting them together, and it's been a good memory for Katrina and me. And so if you like the videos, make sure you press the like button and
subscribe!